Following the meeting of President Vladimir Putin of Russia and President Donald Trump of the United States on Friday in Alaska, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has said he knows the treachery of President Putin, that, in the coming days, Russia's soldiers may try to increase pressure and strikes against Ukrainian positions in order to create more favorable political circumstances for talks with global actors. Zelenskyy made this statement some hours ago while stating that Ukrainian soldiers have achieved some successes in Donetsk region, especially in the areas of Dobropillia and Pokrovsk, then ordered the Commander-in-Chief, Oleksandr Syrskyi, to speak with combat commanders that Ukraine needs strong positions and truly tangible resistance to the enemy. In his words, Zelenskyy said, "I received a report from Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrskyi. The front, the defense of positions, and up-to-date information on the intentions and movements of the Russian army. We are defending our positions along the entire front line, and for the second day in a row, we have achieved successes in some extremely difficult areas in the Donetsk region, in the direction of Dobropillia and Pokrovsk. In particular, I want to commend the units of the 1st Corps of the National Guard of Ukraine, Azov, the units of the 7th Corps of the Air Assault Forces, the units of the 38th Separate Marine Brigade named after Hetman Petro Sahedykny, as well as the units of our 93rd Separate Mechanized Brigade, Kolodny Yar. The destruction of the occupiers who tried to infiltrate deeper into our positions continues. There has also been an important replenishment of Ukraine's exchange fund with Russian soldiers. The Commander-in-Chief also reported on the actions of our units in the Sumy, Kharkiv, and Zaporizhia regions. I am grateful to all our warriors for their resilience. Based on the political and diplomatic situation around Ukraine, and knowing Russia's treachery, we anticipate that in the coming days the Russian army may try to increase pressure and strikes against Ukrainian positions in order to create more favorable political circumstances for talks with global actors. We are documenting the movement and preparations of Russian troops. Of course, we will counteract, if necessary, asymmetrically. I asked the Commander-in-Chief to speak with combat commanders. Ukraine needs strong positions and truly tangible resistance to the enemy. I thank every one of our soldiers, sergeants, and officers who are carrying out combat missions and destroying the occupiers in the way that is necessary for Ukraine's confidence. Glory to Ukraine. We had a long and substantive conversation with Putin, President of the United States. We started with one-on-one talks before inviting European leaders to join us. This call lasted for more than an hour and a half, including about an hour of our bilateral conversation with President Trump. Ukraine reaffirms its readiness to work with maximum effort to achieve peace. President Trump informed about his meeting with the Russian leader and the main points of the discussion. It is important that America's strength has an impact on the development of the situation. We support President Trump's proposal for a trilateral meeting between Ukraine, the USA, and Russia. Ukraine emphasizes that key issues can be discussed at the level of leaders, and a trilateral format is suitable for this. On Monday, I will meet with President Trump in Washington, D.C., to discuss all of the details regarding ending the killing and the war. I am grateful for the invitation. It is important that Europeans are involved at every stage to ensure reliable security guarantees together with America. We also discussed positive signals from the American side regarding participation in guaranteeing Ukraine's security. We continue to coordinate our positions with all partners. I thank everyone who is helping. On the day of negotiations, the Russians are killing as well. And that speaks volumes. Recently, we've discussed with the US and Europeans what can truly work. Everyone needs a just end to the war. Ukraine is ready to work as productively as possible to bring the war to an end, and we count on a strong position from America. Everything will depend on this. The Russians factor in American strength. Make no mistake, strength. I am receiving reports from our intelligence and diplomats regarding the preparations for the meeting in Alaska. Regarding what Putin is bringing to the table, we are also receiving reports from Ukraine's regions following Russian strikes. Sumy, a Russian strike on the central market, Dnipro region, strikes on cities and enterprises. Zaporizhia, Kherson region, Donetsk region, deliberate Russian strikes. The war continues, and it is precisely because there is neither an order nor even a signal that Moscow is preparing to end this war. Russia must end the war that it itself started and has been dragging out for years. The killings must stop. A meeting of leaders is needed. At the very least, Ukraine, America, and the Russian side. And it is precisely in such a format that effective decisions are possible. Security guarantees are needed. Lasting peace is needed. Everyone knows the key objectives. I want to thank everyone who is helping to achieve real results. We have reported that there is still no peace in sight after nearly 3 hours of meeting held in Anchorage City in Alaska, a state in the United States, US, between President Vladimir Putin of Russia and President Donald Trump of the United States, over the war Russia launched since 2022 in Ukraine, which has led to thousands of deaths, mostly Ukrainians, which President Volodymyr Zelenskyy of Ukraine, who was not invited for the meeting on Friday, in a statement said that it was time to end the war, but Russia must take the necessary steps to a genuine peace deal. And while commenting on the statement made by the President of Poland, Karol Nawrocki, on Friday via X social media platform to mark Poland Armed Forces Day, which coincided with the day Putin and Trump met in Alaska, President Zelenskyy said that Ukraine's independence strengthens Poland's independence, and we must always remember that the miracle on the Vistula was made possible through joint efforts, and it saved Europe. And the Polish President, Karol Nawrocki, had said that today we celebrate the 105th anniversary of the great Polish victory at the Battle of Warsaw in 1920. The Polish army, together with Ukrainian forces, successfully repelled the Red Army's westward march, safeguarding Europe from a communist revolution. For centuries, Russian imperialism has been a mortal threat to our freedom. Poland's political tradition teaches that Russian expansionism rests on a legacy of domestic despotism, in which the only free man is the ruler himself. But precisely because Russian despotism is the enemy of freedom, Russian imperialism can only be defeated through an alliance of free peoples. My nation halted Russian imperialism at Orsha, 1514, Klushino, 1610, and Warsaw, 1920.
Osasua Media, bringing you the news in a more digital way.